Choose the non-legendary copy of Unesh. It triggers 3 times. Today on Commander Replay, we check out this Unesh clones list and find out just how many cards we can draw with multiple Unesh triggers. Next on Commander Replay. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. We have one new Patreon supporter in Spilled Pizza. Spilled Pizza, you are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks you want me to play next, and especially which Kaldheim commanders you want to see first, be sure to check out my Patreon, link is in the description below. Welcome back everyone, playing some Unesh Criosphinx Sovereign today. Today's deck list comes to us from GoFundMe supporter Jim. Take a look at this opening hand. It's got 3 lands, no ramp. This deck needs to ramp. I'm gonna mulligan this. Yeah, that's better, there's a Mana Crypt. So this is the 3rd game I've played with this deck, and the first 2 were blowouts, because this deck is a little bit slow, so getting ramp in the opener is a good thing. There's a Mana Crypt. That's gonna speed us up a bunch, so we'll go ahead and keep that. There's a Jwari Disruption. We might be able to use that actually, so play the Mana Crypt, play the Island, and we'll pass like that. Was thinking about whether we should use the land side and just get the tap land in, or if we could reasonably counter something. We might be able to counter something, especially like a Syr Gwyn. Mayael's going to have some big stuff later on. Scry Temple for opponent. So yeah, like I said, I did have to make a few changes to this deck. We'll take a peek at those real quick. What I noticed was, when this deck list came over to me, there were about 15 4-drops in the deck, which is a lot, especially considering that there's a lot of 5-drops, 6-drops, and 7-drops after it. So the mana curve to this deck is higher. This deck kind of cheats on lands a little bit. It's got 32 plus a couple flip lands, maybe about 3 flip lands, so it's probably actually about 35. There are only about 10 or 11 pieces of ramp in the deck, and when you have a clunky mana curve like this, that's not going to be enough, so I cut a couple of the 4-drops. There's a lot of clones in the deck. I cut a few of the clones since they don't seem as good for our plan, and replaced it with Worn Power Stone, Kefnet's Monument, Mind Stone, and a High Tide. Because you just need to be able to make more mana to cast all these big expensive things. There were also some changes that I made to the deck for some other reasons. Added this Urza's Incubator because I believe Dream Halls is still bugged on Magic Online and doesn't work right. Dream Halls would essentially allow you to just cast your entire deck and get down to this Jace for the Labman style win. Urza's Incubator, not nearly that good, but still a good and powerful card. And then I don't have all of the free counterspells because they're very expensive on Magic Online. The 2 newer ones out of Force of Negation and what's the one out of Commander. Those things are pushing up around 100 tickets right now, so I just skipped those and went for some other removal instead. Brings back to our turn. Mana Crypt flip, lost the flip. There's a Thought Vessel, more ramp, excellent. Get the Nykthos. Ooh, we're light on blue mana. You know what? I'm just going to play this turn. I don't know if more blue mana's coming, so I know we could try to hold that up and like get someone with it, but I'd rather just get that blue mana in tap now and not worry about it later. But yeah, one of the big things with this deck is that Unesh is so strong that the only thing that really matters is getting Unesh in play and keeping Unesh in play. And I was having trouble with that first step in the past couple games that I played, where I never really got Unesh into play, or the one time that I did, it got immediately bounced with a 1-mana spell. So that's pretty much the key to this deck. Let's take a read of it. 6 mana for a 4/4 flying Sphinx. Sphinx spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. That's some really big cost reduction since they're all expensive anyway. And whenever it or another Sphinx enters the battlefield under your control, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. An opponent separates them into 2 piles, put 1 pile in your hand, the other in your graveyard. This thing draws cards like a machine. So, like I said, you're getting cost reduction and card draw off your commander. The only thing that really matters with this deck is getting your commander in play, keeping it in play, and I changed around a few cards to make sure that we can get our commander into play nice and quick. And in the wrap-up, I'll go through things a little bit more, but that was kind of the main thing, is just needed to get a little bit of clunkiness out of the mana curve and just a little bit more ramp to be able to support all of the big expensive cards in this deck. And you guys know me, I'm not one that's a stranger to big clunky mana curves, but there's definitely like a limit to how far you can go with that before it is a problem and before you get stuck and that sort of thing. So opponent cracks their Tribe Elder, gets themselves a land. Felwar Stone and a Simic Ascendancy in for our opponent. Brings it back to our turn. Tails, lost the flip. There's a Capsize. Capsize is helpful. Let's get this Nykthos into play just in case of a wheel or something like that. Cast Unesh. That was why I wanted to get that land in, because I knew we'd be kind of fighting against the blue mana at some point, and it made sense to get the tap land in that turn, so. Let's see. Oh, no fish in this game? Sean can pick some cards for us. We can choose pile 1, or we can choose pile 2. What's this one do? When it attacks, each player chooses a card name, then each player reveals the top card of their library. If a card a player revealed has the name of the card they chose, that seems fun, but Phantasmal Image is just so good, so I'm going to go pile 1. Also, I'm not really a huge fan of the Colosseum. It does burn your life when you use it. I get why you run it, but I'll take the basic. That's a path on our commander. That one doesn't bother me as much as a Swords, because we get a land, and now we're pretty close to just recasting it again, so that could be worse. That could be so much worse. We've ramped. We'll take a peek at what our opponents are playing. First up, we have Eric Kyoto playing Syr Gwyn, Hero of Ashvale, a commander that I'm very familiar with. The second you run out of removal, it kills you, because it gets giant, and it plays a lot of equipment. Mana Vault coming in for opponent, getting their own ramp going, so probably looking at Gwyn next turn. Similar to our deck, it is prone to cheap removal. Try to cast a 6-mana commander and someone hits it with a 1 or 2 mana spell. Feels pretty bad. Syr Gwyn, no stranger to that, but once there's a few equipments on it, it's just so big that it becomes really difficult to deal with, and it's strong cards, and there's also some combo-y things you can do with, like, Sunforger and, oh god, I can't even think of the name of it now. There's the Trident that does its power to a target. There's the one that lets you tap and destroy creatures, so there's some fun things to be doing with Syr Gwyn, a deck that I can definitely appreciate. Opponent plays Ishai, Ojutai Dragonspeaker, and has a Simic Ascendancy in play. That seems like a problem. Mana Crypt, flip, go tails, 1 the flip. Back to our turn. That's a Rapid Hybridize. We should probably just go ahead and shoot that. Although, we know that Syr Gwyn's on the way, so there's also that. I am fully aware that, we should probably just recast Unesh, but, I am going to run 7 mana right now. This is going to be 8. We could recast Unesh. Oh, maybe we should. I've been wanting to build an Ishai deck recently, so I'm just going to clone this Ishai just because I want to. It's not strategically the best play that we could make, but I just like it. Honestly, we could probably, Phantasmal Image something, probably that. We could try to Phantasmal Image it, and then, start the Walk the Eons loop is definitely a thing that we could do. But I just want to do this, because I've been wanting to play this card, and now we're going to get an opportunity to play this card. Choose the Ishai. We've got some open mana, but we've got Rapid Hybridize, we've got a Capsize, so we can just leave things up, I think. We did get out to a very fast start in front of our opponents, so I know that we could just try to bury them and try to make it a non-game for our opponents, but I think we can ease up just a little bit in the name of a little bit of fun. Yeah, one thing we have to worry about is that Simic Ascendancy. I guess we can bounce it with a Capsize, but that's not the cheapest play to make. So, casting the Syr Gwyn, 2 Ishai triggers. Opponent's got a Mask of Memory. That's a pretty good one. No haste, so they won't be able to do anything with it this turn, but next turn, they'll be drawing some cards. Seems good. Would I clone a Syr Gwyn? We don't really have a way to take advantage of it in this deck. Unless they play a Bludgeon Brawl, and we have all of our artifacts in play. Bludgeon Brawl works for everyone. I've had that exact thing happen, actually. I played a Bludgeon Brawl, someone cloned my Syr Gwyn, and then they had a bunch of mana rocks that turned into equipment. And I actually lost that game. Dealing with an opposing Syr Gwyn was not something that I had planned for while playing my own Syr Gwyn. That's a Return to Dust. Where's this going? That's going on our Mana Crypt and the Simic Ascendancy. Don't love it, but that's fine. Would I Capsize to say... No, we're going to need that Capsize later on. The bird's getting pumped up. Thrasios coming into play. That's a scary card. Here's a commander that does a little too much. It's not in their command zone, but still, just a really powerful card. If you're making infinite mana, if the goal is infinite mana, it'll allow them to win the game. And there are infinite mana combos with Emil and Dockside Extortionist. Watch out for those. Brings back to our turn. Ooh, that's an Urza's Incubator. That is helpful. Play the island. Play the Urza's Incubator. Like I said, this would have been Dream Halls in the original build of the deck. Choosing Sphinx. Next turn, as long as our stuff holds up, we'll be able to cast Unesh, so we'll hold off on that. We've got a Rapid Hybridize. Anything worth cloning? Do we clone the Thrasios? No, probably not, because if we get Unesh, then we can cast the Phantasmal Image ourselves. Kind of go about it that way, although... Are we going to have the mana at any point to use Thrasios? Probably not. Yeah, I think we just pass with our control stuff open. Syr Gwyn does have Menace. That's a real thing. I think I'm just going to hold up the blocking now. We are not a highly aggressive deck. Opponent's going to Vampiric Tutor on their upkeep. I'm curious to see what opponent went for right here. I don't know exactly what I would be grabbing with that Vampiric Tutor. Maybe just more card draw. I'm not sure. They've got the Mask of Memory. The question is, do they think that it's going to go through? That's a Dowsing Dagger. Okay, trying to get their ramp going. Don't know if that's what they search for, but solid card nonetheless. Let's see where they want to give the plant tokens. They give them to Sean. Yeah, he made the nice play with Return to Dust. Getting rid of our Mana Crypt, getting rid of the Simic Ascendancy. Someone's got to be the adult and spoil the fun, so I'd probably give them the plant tokens if I were in their shoes as well. Equips the Mask. Equips the Dowsing Dagger. So, like, here's the thing. If we Rapid Hybridize that, it's so backbreaking to them. I'm not gonna, because I know how much it hurts, unless they're coming our way. Yeah, now we have to. I wasn't gonna do it, but now I have to. If they wanted to go somewhere else, I was gonna let them have the value, but it's not gonna work. They're coming our way, because, I mean, Syr Gwyn can easily 2-hit you, so, you know, it's at 7 right now. It's not difficult for them to get to 14 and then just one-shot you out of the game, so... yeah, that's not gonna work. They do get a token, and they're gonna pay to equip their token. Yep. Kodama's Reach for opponent triggers the birds. Mayael into play. Yep. Opponent's gonna play a Shabraz the Sky Shark. Also makes me a little nervous. Don't know exactly what their theme is yet or what the plan is, but yeah, Shabraz also makes me nervous. Would I copy a Shabraz? Whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on it and gain 1 life. Oh, maybe I would copy a Shabraz. That seems kinda good. Brings us back to our turn. There's a Mind Stone. We want to get our commander back to play, definitely. Commander's going to cost 6. So I have exactly enough to go for this Mind Stone and recast Unesh. They can choose our stuff for us. Oh, those are some cards. Mana Vault, Force of Will, Glasspool Mimic, Arcane Signet. Do we want the ramp or do we want the other stuff? It's actually reasonable. Reasonable piles right there. More clones gets us more draw. I'm going to go with pile 1. That Force of Will is pretty handy to have around. We have tapped out, so, you know, in case the worst should happen. You know, because of this bird, we can't really go anywhere with our bird. It's not the best. I'm going to untap the Mana Vault. Puts the mask on the Frog Lizard. Passes like that. That's a blasphemous act. What I don't like is that this Ishai is going to survive the blasphemous act. How bad do I want that Unesh in play? What's worse, our opponents? Yeah, the fact that this thing's going to survive is kind of scary. I guess we can capsize it, reset it, but, you know, they may get a big hit in on us before that happens. I guess we'll let it go, because, like, I'm not super interested in finding out the purpose for Shabraz or Thrasios. Back to the command zone. Commander's getting up there. I'd be very happy if they wanted to finish off the Ishai. Archon of Coronation, nice. I've been meaning to test this one. When it enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. As long as you're the Monarch, damage doesn't cause you to lose life. So this thing's interesting. If you're the Monarch, damage no longer affects you, but you can lose the Monarch with Archon in play, which is a little bit worse than, like, Protector of the Crown or Palisade Giant. Well, I guess Palisade Giant doesn't make you the Monarch, but Protector of the Crown makes you the Monarch. You can't really lose the Monarch while Palisade Giant's in play unless there's, like, they have to remove it first before the damage can go through. But this one, because it's flying, is also easy to get it back, so that's a thing. I'm actually glad they played the Monarch right there, because now they're going that way and not attacking us. It's actually pretty helpful. So they're going to take the Monarch trigger. But, like, on their turn, they can just swing and get it back. So they stay at 40, and that's definitely cool. So I'm very curious about this. My initial impression of the Archon was that it was just a much worse Protector of the Crown. But the fact that it flies, the fact that, like, flying means you can easily get it back, does seem promising also. So, I don't know. We'll see how effective it is here. Opponent casts their Sisay and gets the Monarch draw. He's back to our turn. There's a Path of Ancestry. We're going to go ahead and play the Path of Ancestry. Do we have enough for our commander? Exactly enough. Recast our commander. D-Mana can have this one. Those are some cards. I think they misclicked, because that's a 4-in-1. Choose pile 1. Do we have no max hand size? Oh yeah, we have a Thought Vessel. Hooray! No max hand size. No need for us to discard. That's a Zergo Helm Smasher. Those are pretty good. Whose helm would they like to smash? They're the Monarch. Definitely makes them attractive. They may have some ill feelings toward us as well, though, for shooting their Syr Gwyn earlier. Though, in all likelihood, Syr Gwyn probably dies to the Blasphemous Act, though we don't know how it plays out because they would have gotten a bunch of extra mana off the Dowsing Dagger. It's a 9/3 Indestructible Zergo. Where are they sending it? Sending it to the Monarch. Love it. You know, we draw enough cards on our own that it's probably not worth it for us to really try and steal the Monarch token. So they're going to take the Monarch, Mask of Memory's going to hit, Dowsing Dagger's going to flip over. Opponent not looking to lose their Sisay. As someone who plays Sisay, it's pretty painful when it goes down. Sisay tends to be a really mana-hungry deck, and they've missed a lot of their land drops. They are 3 land drops behind, I think. That is not where you want to be with that deck. You want to make all your land drops and you want to ramp on top of that. You probably want some mana doublers in there also. Opponent discards a Combat Celebrant, flips over the Dowsing Dagger, Darksteel Ingot, and passes like that. There's the Xenagos coming into play. Those are pretty good. Opponent makes the Archon of 10/10 with the Xenagos. Gonna swing at the Syr Gwyn. Now, full disclosure, I let opponents know that we are the threat at the start of Sean's turn, because I'm looking at all the extra turn spells in our hand, and I genuinely feel bad about what we're probably about to do. It's not the type of thing that I like to really subject my opponents to, but it is how you play this deck, so I think we're going to be taking some extra turns. Ooh, Ikra Shadiki, you say. Spicy. Opponent can gain a lot of life with that. Yeah, here comes the 19 our way. Absolutely. We totally deserve this. Sends the 6 to Sean. I think Sean's the Monarch right now. I kind of lost track. Yeah, there's the Monarch token, so Sean's the Monarch. No blocks for us. This is basically going to cut us in half. Opponent draws at the end step. There's a Chancellor of the Spire. Get a Vampire Tutor with that. Seems good. Told opponents that now's a good time to F6 and go make a sandwich, and I'm sorry about what we're about to do. So, here we go. Play land. How much mana do we actually have? 10's pretty good. It is unfortunately just a little bit short of the Spark Double. So if we Spark Double, what do we Spark Double? I was hoping to save the Walk the Eons, but I think we Spark Double first. Ishai is going to trigger. Copy our commander. ETB triggers. We get 2 ETB triggers. Oh, our opponents can't even F6. One on D-Manny, one on Sean. Opponent trying to figure it out. We're going to go pile 1, keep the Sphinx train rolling. Sean, putting 1 on him. Oh, those are some cards. Expropriate, Temporal Trespass, Commit to Memory, and Mana Drain. Pile 1, please. We have any 6 mana extra turn spells. We have this Temporal Trespass. It'd actually be pretty cheap. Yeah, I think we can get that for triple blue. We're now netting mana off of the Nykthos. So there's 4. Let's... I guess we could just pay 7 and then do the... Yeah, let's just pay 7. Play this Temporal Mastery. Sean's gonna Teferi's Protect. That's pretty funny, actually. I've definitely done that exact thing before, but that doesn't stop the win condition in this deck. Just because I know it takes a while to draw everything to death, I will actually attack our opponents while doing everything here. If we can get the combat win, that's going to be so much faster than doing the draw our entire deck win. Go to our next turn. Spark Double is a non-legendary copy of Unesh. It's good to keep that in mind. Let's play Phantasmal Image. Choose the non-legendary copy of Unesh. It triggers 3 times. I don't know, at this rate, we might get there pretty quickly, actually. High Tide is a cool card. I'll take the High Tide. Grab the spells. Bunch of Sphinxes right there. Sphinges, if you will. I haven't actually read any of these. We'll just pick the bottom 2. They seem to be cheaper mana-wise. Things are going well. If we High Tide, we get... Those will all make double. Maybe we wait till next turn to High Tide. Play an island. Let's play the Temporal Trespass. Need to delve a whole bunch. Pay triple blue. I actually hate this card. I think this card's still too aggressively costed. I get it, you need things in the graveyard, but like, for a lot of decks, that isn't really that much of a barrier. Play this Master of Winds. All the Unesh's trigger. What's this thing do? Enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards, and discard a card. Okay. Choose some opponents. Give us this crazy new one. The crazy new one looks fun. You can draw 2, discard, get rid of the Imprison in the Moon. Choose Sean. Choose the Glyph Keeper. Choose D-Manny. Choose pile 2. Actually make sure there's a land in our hand. We've already played the extra turn spell. Let's activate the Nykthos. Get some blue mana out of that. 8 blue mana. Cast some Sphinxes with that. Let's try this one. We'll keep the Right of Replication. That one's pretty silly. We'll go pile 1 right here. Nexus of Fate is a ridiculous magic card. Choose a Nexus of Fate pile. Oh, can we cast this Omniscience yet? We cannot. Next turn. Next turn we'll get to that Omniscience. Let's try the Sphinx of the Second Sun. We're down to 24 cards. At some point we're going to run into this Jace. You know, we may actually run into the Jace before the combat win. There's the Jace. Jace in 1 pile. Take the extra turn. Down to 12 cards in our library. Wow, we could probably almost win it this turn, actually. Play the Jace. There's an untap. So we get the trigger for this thing. I'm pretty sure this is still the same turn, even though we untapped. No, never mind. We're in our main phase. So let's just cast a Sphinx. Return a non-land permanent. The Sphinx, I guess? We have 0 cards in library. Jace is in play. We just need to draw a card. We'll play this Commander Sphere and crack this Commander Sphere. And we win the game! Yeah, mono blue doing mono blue stuff. Oh man, I feel so bad doing this stuff to our opponents. Like, I hate facing this type of deck. Certain settings, it's fine. This is not the type of deck you want to be facing every day. Opponents revealing their hands. It's lots of stuff. So the thing with the mono blue deck, especially the better mono blue decks, is that they will just sit back in the game. Like, their threats exist in their hand and not on the battlefield. That's the thing that you want to recognize, especially when you're the aggressive decks. You know, what our opponents really needed is some removal on Unesh slows us down. A counterspell on the turn spell is really what they want. Like, that's probably the best way to get around what we're doing. If we tap out for that turn spell and they counter the first one, then we're kind of exposed to everything and they can just aggro us out of the game. But yeah, oh man, it feels so bad. Like, it's the type of thing you need to see coming before it happens. Once it happens, it's too late. You can't really course correct from that point. So, you know, never feels great losing to the mono blue shenanigans. So I do feel bad for our opponents. But the deck itself, pretty cool. I haven't actually seen the clone version of Unesh like we saw right here yet. I've only seen older versions of Unesh. So if you get your stuff, the deck plays really well. There's a lot of powerful cards in it. Extra turns are inherently powerful. Counter spells are inherently powerful. There's an Expropriate in there, which is, you know, like one of the most powerful cards in the format when you remove mana cost from the equation. So yeah, powerful deck. Here's a few things that I'll talk about that I noticed over the past couple games. So like I talked about, so here's Jim's original list. The one thing that jumped out at me is that 15 4-drops is a little bit high, but it's especially high when you consider what things are on the curve after it. 10 5-drops is also a lot of 7-drops, and we got some stuff at 8 and 9. There's just a lot of this deck exists at the higher parts of the mana curve. I get Unesh is cost reduction and will make your Sphinxes very cheap, but there's not quite enough cards down here at the lower end to really make sure you consistently find your way into the big stuff. So, you know, it really comes down to changing about 3 cards. What I did was I basically removed the 3 worst clones. So, in my opinion, and feel free to disagree with me on this, I've only played the deck a couple times, but in my opinion, I think the worst clones were Clever Impersonator, because it's as cool as it is, it doesn't have the legendary clause on it, and I think we really want to be copying Unesh more than we want to be doing anything. Vizier of Many Faces. I get you can do it from the graveyard, which is cool, but again, no legendary clause, and we're trying to get rid of some 4-drops. And I did debate on Phyrexian Metamorph for a little while. Somehow I did get rid of an extra 4-drop in the build that I was playing. I was down to 12. What else did I get rid of? You know, I might have actually gotten rid of... you know, for the last card, you can kind of pick whatever you want. Just pick a 4-drop that you don't think's doing enough, so... I'm sure there's a reason for this summary dismissal, but I'm just going to say, get rid of the summary dismissal. And that brings this mana curve just a little bit more in line, and you want to fill those slots with more ramp. There were like 10 or 11 ramp pieces in the deck when I looked at it, and you really want to be up around 13 to 15 for a deck like this. So I went with High Tide, Hazoret's Monument. It's not my favorite, but you have the choice between like Worn Power Stone or Thran Dynamo. The math on Worn Power Stone works that if you cast Worn Power Stone on turn 3 and make your 4th land drop, you'll have 6 mana to cast Unesh right then. But at any point after that, Thran Dynamo is a much better card. So I would go that way about it. And I also got rid of this Shapeshare. I'm sure this is part of a combo somewhere, but I don't know, just didn't feel that necessary to me, so I got rid of that. I think I added a Mind Stone in over that, so... What is it? Probably about 4 pieces of ramp that I added. So yeah, I just added more ramp to the beginning of this deck because nothing matters more than getting to 6 mana with Unesh. That's what gets the whole chain of events going. So you really just want to front load your ramp. You know, even like this Gilded Lotus. Gilded Lotus is a very good card, and it actually works really well for a lot of blue control decks. I'm not completely convinced that this is actually a blue control deck. Like, yeah, it's got some counters and it's got some ways to interact, but given the mana curve, it might make sense to have something else at 3. Like, again, a Hedron Archive or a Worn Power Stone might make more sense there. You can even look at, like, Skyclave Relic, or even, what are the ones with +1 counters on it? Everflowing Chalice type stuff. Because you just want these early plays to get to this Unesh. It's just one of those decks where it's very commander-centric. You know, so that's the big thing, was just having a little bit more at the beginning of the curve. And again, that was 4 cards. Like, everything else in this deck looks really good. The cards are powerful. So just changing out those 4 or so cards. Oh, also, you could add in Urza's Incubator. I would do that as well. I'd probably go with that over Worn Power Stone and some of the other stuff. So I would definitely, yeah, I would go Urza's Incubator over Gilded Lotus for this particular deck. This makes it much more likely that you're going to have something to do at 2 and 3 mana. In one of the games that I played, I really just had nothing going for like the first 4 turns, and that feels bad. That feels real bad, so you really want to be getting to Unesh quickly. Beyond that, other things that I saw playing the game, being mono blue, in one of the games we got steamrolled by a Naya deck, and they came out very fast. And I'll probably show a highlight from that game. I won't show the whole game, but I'll kind of just show, the things, what kind of happened in that one. And we were a little bit short on hard removal, and hard removal is not blue's strength. I get it. There are some pieces, but a lot of it's bounce, and with a green deck that can make a lot of mana, bounce may not be as impactful as you want it to be, and that was one of the problems that I ran into in that game. It looks like about 14 pieces of removal, but again, some of that's counterspells. In that particular game, I had a Swan Song in hand, and they were just casting creatures, and that Swan Song did not help us at all against the creatures, so that was definitely a thing. Again, with removal, you want to customize the removal to the type of meta that you're playing in. I have to imagine that this deck is being played in a higher power setting because it's a powerful deck. It's got turns and counterspells. That's not necessarily indicative of like casual or even mid power in my mind. To me, that really says you probably want to be up with the high power decks. Obviously, there are a lot of combos in there. Creatures aren't always as relevant in that setting, so just keep that stuff in mind. Devastation Tide is really good. That's even CEDH playable in the blue decks, so resetting all your opponent's stuff with Devastation Tide. Also, if you have the tutor, you can put it right on top. Do it that way and guarantee the miracle cost. Something that you can do. But yeah, like in the high power settings, counterspells obviously have a lot of value. If you are finding that creatures are a problem, Transmogrifying Wand can be a cute little trick, so now you're turning them into 2/4s instead of whatever they had. That's a way to get some repeatable removal going. It's certainly a thing. You could look at like a Nev's Disc or something like that. Ixodron or Curse of Swine are also options that exist if you need a little bit more creature removal. But again, it kind of depends on your meta and what decks you're facing. So anyway, yeah, that's my main advice. Just trim up the curve a little bit, especially at 4 mana. If you can drop a single 5-drop also, I think that's going to be a pretty good idea. Just lightening up just a teeny bit right here, getting a little bit more ramp to ensure that you can get to those cards. I think it's really going to add a lot of consistency to the deck and make sure that you're having the start that you want to have. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to wrap it up there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching. This thing does so much. Opponents got themselves 3 extra mana. That's a creature, can't do much with that. But they can untap Selvala and make another play. It's an island, it's something. Play the island. There's an angel. Oh god, one of us is going to die. It's got haste. Yeah, that's bad. That is a bad. So if you're wondering if Angel of Destiny is good, I think we're probably about to find out. We're going to take this hit because there's nothing we can do about it in this moment. Opponent's up to 54. There's the second hit. Yeah, wow, that's a turn 4 kill. Oy. There's the end step trigger. That feels bad. He says he's never gotten a kill that fast before. Yeah, things shaped up nicely. Mana Dork into Selvala. Selvala makes a bunch of mana into Samut, into the Angel of Destiny. That's a pretty good sequence. Also, none of us have played removal up to this point. A little bit of removal would slow that down a lot, but we haven't got there. Haven't found it, but this turn we're going to play the island. We're going to play the Mana Crypt. We most definitely need to sit on the Mana Crypt and either like counter, bounce, and tap stuff if we want to have any kind of success here. Opponent going to combat. Yeah. Gonna have to do some stuff about that. We're going to tap all their stuff, and we're going to bounce the Samut. And I know they can make a bunch of mana and get it back like pretty easily, but that still means they can't make another play somewhere else. We can be on our 7th mana with our land drop. Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing we can do is just capsize, so... Eldamri's Call. Ooh. I don't think we're interested in an Eldamri's Call. Swan Song that. Have a bird. They have the Eldritch Evolution. I think they have an Eldritch Evolution in hand, though, which is also not great. Oh, that's an Archon of Valor's Reach. That's gonna mess us up pretty good. That being the case, let us bounce this Angel of Destiny. Make sure I cast it with buyback. Choosing instant. Yep. Fish said they've got nothing. Okay, well, it's all on us then. Yep, that's the game. Hey guys, next time you purchase cards, if you want to support me and My LGS, be sure to check out mothershipatx.com and use the promo code REPLAY to save
15%
on your next order. And if you can't find what you're looking for, you can use the TCG affiliate player link. All links are in the description below.